Welcome to the show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. As it's the morning here, super early in the morning here, got to have some of coffee. Anyway, let's get on with the news. So in the news, Ryan Gosling is hitting the promotion circuit for his movie Project Hail Mary. If you haven't seen it or you want a review, I've got one up on this channel. Check that one out. It was a couple of episodes ago. But he's been obviously sort of questioned also about his next big film, which is going to be Starfighter, coming out next year, 2027, in May. I think it's May 28, actually. 2027. I think that's the actual date. I definitely know it's 2027. And they were just trying to grill him for any information. All he could reveal is there is puppets in the movie, which is not a massive reveal, but it sort of shows that he's going the practical route or route, whatever you want to say. That is Sean Levy, who is the director. He's chosen that. Obviously, there will be CGI of some sort. No other reveals. This movie is tight-lipped, which, to be honest, should be, because you know what? The best thing with Star Wars is for it to be a surprise. The only issue that I have with Star Wars in Disney, or especially Disney, is that they'll just pump out the ads and ads and ads, and after they reveal the trailer closest to the actual movie, and then you're just going to stay away from, any forms of ads. But anyway, so far it's tight-lipped, besides having puppets in the actual movie's Starfighter. And that's some news for Starfighter. And again, it's coming out 2027. I think it's May 28, but just don't quote me exactly on that one. But the next film, as we know, which is sort of news, but sort of not news to some out there, is Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out technically in Australia, Melbourne, Australia, May 21. It does say in a lot of advertising posters, May 22 of this year. But because we are ahead in time in dates, that's all it is. And anyway, so to more news. Another great fan film has hit the YouTube airwaves only hours ago. It's called Heir to the Empire. You can be mistaken by its thumbnail because it looks like the Empire Strikes Back logo, but it actually says Heir to the Empire, sort of using that particular logo. That's some news, and in fact, I'll be reviewing that in my reviews later on the show. Let's get on with the views. That was the news. Now let's get on with the views. Views is my story ideas, where I say to you every time I accept the story for what it is. That is Star Wars. Whether there's ups and downs, lefts or rights, or things we like or don't like. The story is the story is. But I do like to sort of give my inclusions to Star Wars, of what I would like to sort of see. And this time around, it will be along the lines of Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm really have said a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away that I would love to explore the home world of where Grogu or Yoda or Yaddle, which are those characters of a species we don't know. I'd love for that to actually be in the Mandalorian Grogu, sort of be using it as a cause to fight for in the actual film. Give us some information about that exciting world. I do not really like going into the past or visiting characters in such a big way, but that definitely would be a big movie. I think, personally, if the success of Mandalorian is better than expected, obviously the executives there will say, well, let's make a Mandalorian and Grogu 2, in which you would have to sort of somehow give a similar title to knowing that it is the number 2. But I definitely think it would be more about centered front and center of that particular area, the species, the homeworld of where Grogu, Yoda, and Yaddle comes from. That's what I would do, just because it would be a cinematic experience and it would be great information if they're going to go number two, if it ever does get to that point, because at the moment the excitement level is definitely risen since the last particular trailer or teaser, whatever you want to call it. But I just, I think that, I reckon that would be great. Just the film would be just centered about that. That's if the actual homeworld survives. If it's in Mandalore and Grogu, if they fight for it the way it is, and win. If that's the story in the Mandalore and Grogu, it'd be great. It would be front and center in the second part of the Mandalorian Grogu, and it would be a rhyming thing, because George Lucas loves to have things rhyme, whether it's titles or even stories. When in 1, 2, and 3, in the order of 1, 2, and 3. If there's 4, 5, and 6, it would be similar to 1, 2, and 3. But this would be the second part, just as Empire Strikes Back was a second part, just as when we got reveal about Yoda for the very first time in 1980. That long ago. That's my story idea. Let's get into now. Sorry, that was my views. Let's now get into reviews. Sorry, reviews. Reviews this time is a fan film, Heir to the Empire. Now, I'm going to give this particular fan film, I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10. I can't say 11 out of 10. That's when it just really exceeds my, it needs to have a certain excitement. This particular fan film sort of starts off in a somber way and goes all the way through somber. It is a slow burn, but it is the story is told in such a way that is very very appreciative in its slow burn. And just the look, obviously AI is just leaps and bounds at the moment. To be honest, that's not the whole thing that I'm giving it 10 out of 10. It's just when you just are transported in a story and just have the story take you from start to end. That's what a story should do, without thinking of the effects, without thinking of how it's created. It's just the story, and the story is somber. It has lots of information. It has some interesting team ups and scenarios, and it's sort of set obviously after Return of the Jedi in the Star Wars timeline, even though it's not an official Star Wars canon movie. It's obviously a fan film, but it's before the times of the Han Solo and Princess Leia having a child. But in this one, it's mentioned as twins. Yes, so twins. So that's interesting. If there was a what the other one, because we only got really in official Star Wars canon story timeline. We obviously were introduced to Kylo Ren, or it was Ben Solo. But it would be interesting if it was twins. That would be really, really interesting. And I am wondering if that could be a part of Sean Levy's particular film, Starfighter. But he has said it's a brand new story. And I've said that if you're going to set the story Starfighter 5 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and you did not know that massive win at the end, or the debris in space, let alone, you'd be like hiding under a rock. How he's going to explain that would be interesting. But anyway, so that's it. So my 10 out of 10 for Heir to the Empire. It's on YouTube. It's only hours old at this stage, as the airing of this particular video. Anyway, and so the next is going to be interviews. Interviews is my questions I usually get on my comment section. Interviews can be all types of things. It could be an actual interview, sit down with someone, which I've had before. But anyway, in this occasion, it's the comments that I get on in my comments. The last particular video on my YouTube messages. If you're going to send anything, send it to my actual YouTube last video of the Force Always. I'm not really involved with the Instagram thing at the moment, or even Twitter or X or TikTok or whatever it is. But yeah, so send your trivia or just questions, opinions, or whatever it is deemed appropriate for the channel would be great. And just for the hell of it, subscribe to the channel, The Force Always. I'm here 3-4 times a week giving you the Star Wars news, views, reviews and interviews. Anyway, let's get into the questions. Michael is one of our favourites. He's from Werribee South in Melbourne, Australia. Werribee South. Anyway, let's get right into it. Concerning the upcoming mall show, do you think we may see a new Inquisitor? Concerning the Mando and Grogu movie, we know that Embo is going to be in the movie. The question is, who do we think he will be working for? Well, you know, again with the second part of that question about Embo, we don't know who he's going to be working for until we see the film. So we don't know. We can only speculate at this stage. So it's some dots and T's can be crossed and whatever, but we don't know the whole film yet. But the up and coming more show, do you think we may see a new Inquisitor? I think we may see a new Inquisitor, but I don't think they're going to lean to that in such a sort of front and center sort of thing. I think they'll sort of want Maul to be the front and center and the whole situation about Maul. But I think personally, yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think we will. And that's the answer to that question. The next question is, are there Dathomirian Zadrak women in Darth Maul? Well, in Darth Maul, I don't think there's actually a person inside Darth Maul. The way the question is posed, it says, are there Dathomirian Zadrak women in Darth Maul? I didn't think so, but there is Dathomirian Zadrak women. But it's only been set in EU and things like that. There's no canon version of it as yet. Anyway, the next question is, what is significant in Darth Maul's tattoos? Well, it's a tribal sort of thing, just like you got we live. Australia is right next to New Zealand. They have a culture, people, as we say, Maoris in Australia, but it's actually Maoris. And they have tattoos. It's a tribal sort of thing. It's a respectful thing. It's it represents type of thing. Even if you have tattoos and you're not from an actual tribe, tattoos usually art, but also represents something significant in one's life. So it's just the significance is it's a for the Darth Maul. It's significance in their particular tribe, if you want to call them a tribe. The next question, again from Michael from Werribee South. Was Savage Opress Maul's biological brother? Yes. And he was yellow, not red, yellow with the sort of tattoo look. He was seen in, I think it was the Rebels TV show. It was animation, Rebels, or possibly... No, I think it's Rebels. Rebels, the animation. We've only seen Opress in an animation thing. He was the biological brother of Darth Maul. Because without any spoilers here, his life came to an end. I'll leave it as that. But anyway, the next question is, what was Darth Maul's training under Darth Sidious? I suppose that's what he meant. Darth Sidious is the Emperor. Darth Sidious is technically Palpatine. So he's, he's the biggest honcho in the whole galaxy. It was long and strenuous. It was a lifelong strenuous. He was taken as a child, Darth Maul. That's right, taken as a child, and then sort of really forced to become a weapon for the Emperor, which is Darth Sidious, his master. Anyway, the next question is, did Darth Maul's lightsaber have one or two crystals? They had two, because the thing could actually come apart in such a way, and yeah, it would need two for each blade. Actually, I don't think it came apart. I think it was just broken. Anyway, because there was some out there that do come apart, but I think it was from memory, it does come apart, and there is a crystal for each blade. You need a crystal for each blade. The next question, was Talzin Maul's real mother? Yes. I'll leave it as that. Then the last question from Michael from Werribee South is, was Darth Maul's name real or his Sith name? Well, when you have Darth next to the name, it's their Darth or Sith name. So when you are pronounced as a Sith, you get the title with your title of your new name and Darth. Darth Vader, Darth Maul. And that, yeah, so what was Darth Maul's real name real or his Sith name? It was his Sith name. Darth Maul. But now he's only known as Maul because he has now not a part of the Sith culture or whatever you want to call it, religion. So and we're going to see. That's why the actual animation series is coming out. It's called Maul Shadow Lord, not Darth Maul Shadow Lord. He's not even though he's evil, he's not. Well, he has a lot of evil intent. He's probably got some goodness about him as well, but he has a lot to deal with not being a Darth or a Sith anymore. Anyway, that's the show for this time around. Again, subscribe to the channel, The Force Always. I'm here 3-4 times a week with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. And until next time, my friends, keep rocking.